Here we go. I am hitting the record button and let's put you guys on mute. All right, we are ready to go. Locked in and loaded. Bang. All right. So today, real talk, real talk, real talk. Today we're going to talk about making progress, dieting, gains, and cutting, and a bunch of other things. So we're going to start off with sweating, and does sweat equal fat loss? Now, I know a lot of people do think that the more you sweat, the harder you're working, the more fat loss is happening. And the reality is that sweat comes from your sweat glands. And some of us have a lot more sweat glands than others. And those that she's pointing at me because I do sweat a lot and she doesn't. She sprinkles and has little droplets, while I'll be like completely soaked, and we might be doing the same type of workout. And that goes for everybody here and anybody you see outside of it. So just because you're sweating does not mean that you're losing fat. So where are we at? So what is sweat? Sweat is our body's form of releasing water, minerals, and even regulating our body heat, our body temperature. So when we're hot, that's when we actually start sweating. So when you're in the sauna, things like that, that's when the sweat ends up coming out. You're not necessarily sweating fat off, because it's not like a candle. Okay, so fat is not like a candle. You can't melt it off or burn it off. So can anyone take a wild guess where fat is actually released? Anybody take a guess where fat is released?
Put in the chat.
Put in the chat.
I want to see if anybody knows the answer to this.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Where is it? I had a feeling somebody would say that. Take a poop. No.
I wish.
That would be, the easy way. Yes. And
don't say yet.
Okay. Okay. I'm waiting. I'm going to wait about 10 more seconds.
Subi and Mom, put your answers in the chat.
You got 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and no clue. Okay, that's fine. So the answer is breathing. Actually, Shara just put it right there. We did put a post on our SC Instagram as well on more details on it. But yes, when you breathe out, when you're breathing in and out, right there. So I want you guys to just try it right now. If you just breathe out about 100 times, you'll actually end up losing 5 pounds of body fat. 100 times. Come on, I'm waiting. I'm just kidding. That's not exactly how it works, but it does eventually, through time, as you use body fat as fuel and energy, that is actually where it ends up kind of coming out. All right. So fat it's actually just a form of energy in our body. It's stored and used as needed. So it kind of depends on where you're at. So where you're at with fat, like as far as what am I trying to say here? It's a form of energy and it gets used up and stored as needed. That's pretty much the main details. So what it does come down to, if you do want to lose more body fat, proper diet and getting into a calorie deficit. That's the only way that you can actually force your body to use fat as energy. And that's what you want to do in order for you to lose that extra body fat. Make sense?
Yes.
Head nods. I hope so. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Nat, take it off. You got the next point.
Next point is waist trainers and sweat belts and sweat creams, all these things that they market out there for us to be like, ooh, I want that. It's going to help me burn off all this fat. I've gotten tricked into it. I'm sure a lot of us have, but they don't work for the most part. All right. So like Cesar just said, obviously, it doesn't really matter what you do. You can sweat as much as you want. You can sweat all day, every day. It's not going to make you lose that fat, because the fat, you burn it off through breathing, not through sweat, like you said. So the sweat creams and the waist trainers, there's creams out there that give you like a burning sensation, which makes you feel like you're burning off the fat. You're not burning off the fat. It's really just like buying Icy Hot and then just putting it all over your body. So if you want that burning sensation, don't buy the $40 creams that they sell on Amazon. I have bought it before and used it and tried it thinking that it was going to help me get a 6-pack, but it didn't. So I'm going to save you guys your money.
Yeah.
All right. There's like creams out there too that claim that they're going to help you tighten up that loose skin, or, you know, tighten up that baby pooch. It's pretty much those creams that you feel that burning sensation, but they don't work. You have to be in a caloric deficit. Your diet has to be in check in order for you to actually lose the body fat.
Yeah.
Waist trainers, they really stemmed from the corsets, which were used back in the day, like the 1600s, when life, technology, all that stuff was nowhere near where it is today. They didn't really know any better. Those things really just push in all of your like internal organs, and thereby giving you the effect of like your boobs being up and your hips and waist being wider. Yeah. So it gives you like the illusion. And while maybe the more you wear it, maybe it can like shrink you up a little bit, it's really doing you generally more harm than good, because there's like studies out there and stuff that show like your internal organs can shift and all this stuff. So it's not making you lose inches. It's just giving you the effect that, you know, of looking smaller, especially if you're wearing it and then you have clothes on top of it. So the waist trainers, it's not going to help you burn fat. It's just going to give you the illusion of doing that. Sweet sweat creams, like I said, it will help you sweat more, but fat doesn't come off through sweat. So you might just be losing a little bit more water weight, but that's about it. The same thing goes with like the sweat suits that you may see people wear, like boxers
Sauna
and
suits,
stuff wear them, right?
Yeah, boxers, people just put it on in general. Do you, you know, when they're working out and stuff.
And then you know, it makes you sweat a bunch. You lose a lot of water weight. You may weigh a pound or two less. Just like if you sat in the sauna for like 20, 30 minutes, you may be sweating a lot. You may lose that water weight. But the minute that you drink the water again and you have another meal, you're going to gain it back. You didn't lose body fat through that sweat. It didn't melt off your body. So just keep all of that in mind. And just being in a hot environment, like Caesar gave me this example before, which was really, I was like cracking up. But if you're at the beach and you're hanging out and you're laying out and you're tanning with your girlfriends and you're sweating a bunch and you think you're going to get ripped that way, well, it's not going to work, because sweat.
If it was that easy, yeah, we would all be on the beach getting ripped.
Like us right now.
Yeah. And our fake beach. Okay.
So anyways, again, the sweat creams don't work. The corsets don't work. None of that is going to work. Yes, it may help you feel better. Like I personally do like to use the sweet sweat belt, not for purposes of weight loss, obviously, or fat loss, but I like the feeling that it gives me after a long run. I've sweat a lot. I feel leaner, but I'm not leaner.
Yeah.
So again, don't think it's going to help you burn off fat. If you like it just to use it because you like the feeling, like me, fine. But I know that it's not helping me burn fat. So the point of this whole thing is that in order to burn fat, you have to use it as stored energy, basically. And the only way to really get there is to be in a caloric deficit and have your diet in check. Okay, moving on.
All right, so next point, we're gonna switch it to massing, AKA bulking, gaining muscle, things like that, versus cutting and burning fat. So for those of you, So for those of you that want the gains, that want true extra muscle mass density, like we've spoken about, it does take time. It could take 6 months. It can even take 6 years to really get to like a physical, I guess, to really see a physical change. It's not going to happen in a 6-week fat loss cut. It's definitely going to take a lot more time. Because unlike fat loss, if let's say you lost 8 pounds in the 6 weeks, you can see a really drastic difference. With muscle gaining, it just doesn't happen the same way. It takes a lot more time. So for those of you that don't know, the more calories you're consuming and the more you weigh, the more you'll be able to lift and the better you'll be able to perform. So the heavier you are, generally, the more things you'll be able to do physically. That's why when you're dieting and you're depleted, generally your energy levels are a lot lower and your strength levels definitely dip as well. It all kind of works hand in hand. So let's see what else. Where am I at? Make sure I'm hitting all my points here. Yeah, I got that part. So when I do say this about being heavier, I don't mean you have to be like 50 or 80 pounds above your like a good maintenance weight. I just mean you have to be a little higher than your maintenance in order for you to really see changes in muscle growth or even changes in strength. What else? What else? What else? I think that's it. That's the only point that I'm going to hit when it comes to massing. If there's anybody that watches this later on or watching this now that does want to focus on building muscle and making changes in their diet, you can reach out to me personally and I'll be happy to help you guys out. All right. And if you guys have any further questions on it here, you can always hit me up on the chat later on when we get into the Q&A. So the next point I want to hit is, are you training hard enough? So one thing I've noticed as a coach, many people don't push themselves to the levels they need to in order to see progress, in order to see results.
That was me.
And yes, that was definitely her. And I'm not talking about like the extreme levels of, all right, you're lifting 50 pounds now, and now you're going to try and do 500 pounds. And I'm not talking about like going from running a mile to doing a marathon. I'm talking about all those little steps in between. And what I mean is that sometimes we have clients that have worked out with us for months and they're still doing the same exact weight that they did when they first started. So if let's say you started on a 15-pound dumbbell bicep curl and you've been with us 6 months, 3 months, whatever that number is, you're still doing 15-pound dumbbell curls, you're not going to see any changes there. And the progress doesn't have to be 15 pounds to 50 pounds. It can be 15 pounds to 17.5 to 20 to 22.5. And that progress can be done week by week, month by month. It definitely doesn't have to be like such a big drastic thing. But the importance is that you're surpassing where you were. Because if you don't, you're literally just going to stay there. You're going to stay exactly where you are. It's just like dieting. If you continue adding in those little extra snacks and not removing them, you're not going to see changes. So you want to make sure that we're making progress in that weight that you're using or whatever it is that you're doing, push-ups, whatever, rows, squats, deadlifts, lunges, all that kind of stuff makes like it's super important.
And that's where like writing down your weights also comes in handy, because I'm guilty of this. I don't generally write down like the weights and I try and just remember them. But at the end of the day, like week to week, I don't remember exactly what weight I use. So sometimes I'll catch myself using like the same weight as the week before, and then I'll have to do like an extra rep because that was just a warm-up set for me. Or I'll have him be like, that better be your warm-up set. And then I have to go grab another 5 pounds, or he'll sneakily go and, change my weights. He's done that before.
Yeah, and I've done it to all of you here too. Well, yeah. I think most of you here.
But also just sometimes being more aware and conscious of yourself and your body, because a lot of times like we think, for example, for me, it was like lateral raises. I'm like, oh, I can't do more than this. And then he gave me like a 2.5 pound weight more, and I did it. And yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle, but I did it. And I thought I couldn't do it, or I mentally told myself that I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So just, challenge yourselves and week by week and tell yourself you can do it. Try that heavier weight. And if you can't, revert back and then try the week after again. Mm-hmm. But the point is to just keep challenging yourself and keep increasing those weights, because that's where you're really going to see the changes.
Yeah. So kind of going off of what she was just saying, sometimes we think that our warm-up sets are our working sets. And there's a difference. You definitely you want to do at least 1 or 2 warm-up sets. And the heavier you're lifting, the more warm-up sets you're going to have to do. So for example, if you're benching 135 pounds, you might need to do a warm-up set of like 95 pounds, and then maybe even like 115, like warm-up sets doing the same amount of reps that you're about to do. If you're benching 300 pounds, then you're going to have to warm up a little bit more. You're probably going to have to do 135, 225, 275, and things like that up until you get to your true working sets. And working sets is really where the magic happens. And by working, I mean, like you did the reps and that's all you were able to do. It means that you didn't have 2 or 3 more reps left. That means that if you were supposed to do 10, you hit your 10 and that was all you had in you. You couldn't do 2 more. If you felt like you could have done 2, 3, 5, 10 more, you better be increasing that weight. That's definitely too light. you're not going to make progress. You're going to stay exactly where you are. And that's a common thing that I see with a lot of people. They'll hit that weight. They'll hit the weight that they've done. They'll continue doing those same reps, and they won't try and push a little bit more, whether it's with the reps or the weight. Okay. And the last point I'd want to make over here, when it comes to progress and making progress here in the gym and doing things like that, is ask a coach, how can you make progress? Because you might be just kind of going through the motions. And if you don't know what to do, ask one of us, and we can adjust the tempo for you. We can adjust the exercise for you. We can suggest a new weight that you can possibly use, and kind of do the detective work for you, so you don't have to be like scratching your head. What do I do now? Like, so that you can make progress. All right. That's super, super important. All right. That's it.
Cool. So back to food, because I love talking about food. Eating good versus eating bad. And both of those words are in quotes. So we often think that our eating habits are either good or bad. There tends to be no like in between where we're like, oh, well, I was okay this week, so I'm just going to have a little treat and then whatever, move on. It's always one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we tend to be so restrictive with ourselves sometimes when we're dieting during the week that it can end up leading to poor long-term habits, having a bad relationship with food, all of those things. And sometimes you may not even know that you're going through this, or that you're doing it. You might just mindlessly be doing this, where you are so restrictive during the week, and then you have your treat meal, and then it just spirals the whole weekend or into a cheat day, whatever it ends up being. So there's definitely a dark side to dieting, especially when you get into like the more extremes of dieting, like bodybuilding, for example, which we've done. And obviously it's not easy. It is the more extreme form of dieting. And it's probably one of the hardest things that we've done in our lives.
Yeah.
To get to that caloric deficit and that level of leanness that you have to get to this stage is just really, really difficult. It takes a toll on your mind, on your body. And that's where having a good relationship with food really, really plays a huge part. And it's the same for you guys here. You guys have been dieting for what, 8-9 weeks now?
Yeah.
9 weeks about.
They're going on 10 already.
You basically on a 12-week dieting,
like fat loss phase,
yeah,
dieting cut, whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's hard, and it can take a really big toll on your body, especially the last couple of weeks. Now you guys have 2 weeks left. You've either been super, super, super restrictive, and some of you might be getting to the point where you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And it could potentially lead to, after the challenge, just going out to eat whatever you want. Like, oh, the challenge is over now, I'm going to treat myself. And then it can spiral into something more. And then you can lose all the progress that you gained. I know we've talked about this before, but it's very, very important. So as we continue the last 2 weeks and moving forward into the challenge, we want you guys to be aware of this. We want you guys to be conscious of this. And there's a couple points that I want to hit here. So the first one is, rather than being super, super restrictive during the week, like sticking to your diet 110% Monday through Friday, and then having that one treat meal on the weekend. If, for example, you want one piece of chocolate on Monday, and that's all you can think about all day from the morning to the night, allow yourself that piece of chocolate. Because if you don't, chances are, I'm guilty of this a lot. I do it a lot. Chances are, if you don't have that one piece of chocolate and you've thought about it 7 times already, you're going to have 7 pieces of chocolate, either that night or the next day. And I did it last week. Weekend. I'm telling you, it's real. It's a real thing. So if you're experiencing this and you're thinking about this one thing, it could be a burger, it could be it could be whatever it is that you like. Just have it. Give it to yourself, enjoy yourself, and move on with your life. Start the next day with a fresh slate, get back on track. Chances are you're not going to have that craving anymore. You're going to be that much more ready and focused, and you're going to be fine. That one piece of chocolate, that one burger is not going to mess you up, okay? What is going to mess you up is if you are restrictive during the week, you're craving chocolate on Monday, a burger on Tuesday, a beer on Wednesday. You know what's going to happen? Saturday, you're looking forward to your treat meal, and you're going to have all the above. So it's not going to be that burger and fries. It's going to be the burger, fries, the beer, the chocolate. Oh, I want donuts. I want this. I want that. And then you're going to get sick. You are, it can spiral into something more. So please keep that in mind. Instead of being super restrictive, allow yourself little treats here and there. And then that way you'll just feel that much more in control throughout the weekend.
Yep.
Another big important thing is a lot of us tend to eat until we're full, especially if we have been dieting and we don't feel that fullness during the day, during the week, whatever the case may be. So eat until you're satisfied. If what you wanted is a slice of pizza and that satisfies you, fine. If what you wanted was a slice of pizza and a dessert, have that. Don't let the food control you, and don't let your mind play tricks on you where you have to keep eating just because you don't feel full yet. Have that food, whatever food item, whatever it is that you want, and move on. Eat until you're satisfied, not until you're full. And I'm sure we are all guilty of this, but it's a very, very important thing that we have to just be personally conscious of. This is a big one. Just because you maybe overdid it one day, let's say that you were expecting to have a treat meal on Saturday, you went out to brunch, and then something happened and you had to go somewhere else. You ended up at the mall, you didn't have food with you, you ate out, and then when you went home, you ordered food. You may have overdone it that day. You may have overeaten, whatever the case may be. Don't wake up the next morning and say, I'm going to go do 3 hours of cardio now or burn 1,000 calories because I had X, Y, and Z the day before. That's going to lead to you having a bad relationship with food and you forming this mental habit of, oh, I ate so much, I have to go work it off. Oh, I ate this, I got to go burn it off doing cardio.
Right. It's like you're making it a punishment rather than an actual like healthy thing for you.
Exactly. And also you can't outdo a bad diet. So just because you had a burger and a pizza and a donut the night before, don't think that going to run 1,500 calories off the next day is going to outdo what you did. So just don't do it. Don't use it. Don't punish yourself for it. Did you enjoy it? Yes. Okay, great. Move on. That's it. Okay. That's going to lead to your long-term success of having a healthy relationship with food and not associating bad foods or bad eating habits with, having to work it off the next day. Mm-hmm. When you are stressed, the habits that you've built are going to be the most important habits that are going to take place. So for example, some people stress eat, some people don't eat when they're stressed. If you know that you're a stress eater and you tend to aim for those snacks such as chips or chocolate, whatever it is, just don't have them in your house. Be conscious of it, first of all. But if you've already built good eating habits along the way, chances are when you're stressed out, you're not going to reach for that food. So the goal here is for you all to have and build these healthy habits and have a good relationship with food so that come the times, in our lives where we might have a lot going on during the week, we might be stressed out, we don't reach for the bottle of alcohol or the bag of chips. And then the same goes if you are not a stress eater and you just tend to not eat. Chances are, if you already have a solid habit of, I eat at 11 a.m., I eat at 2 p.m. or whatever it is, I have my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're going to keep doing that just because your body's used to it, your mind is used to it. So just keep all of that in mind as well. I think it's a really big and important thing to have that good relationship with food, because food is going to be around us all day, every day of our lives. And if you do have that bad relationship with food, it can just lead to more stress and binge eating and a lot of negative connotations with food, and can possibly even lead to eating disorders. So just keep all of that in mind. And if you are struggling, reach out.
Yep. All right, guys. So closing it up now, we're going to talk about setting goals, keeping goals, and crushing your goals. So by now you guys have done it. You're here. You're at that 10-week mark already. You've probably reached your goals or maybe even surpassed them. But sometimes there's people that maybe have started and didn't get to those goals, and it could be for whatever reasons. Maybe life got in the way. Maybe other priorities took precedence. Maybe you started and then you were like, you know what? Screw this. I can't do this. This is not for me. And that's fine. Whatever success is for you is what matters most regardless. So as we're going through this process and we're closing up this chapter of dieting and all that stuff, few things that I want you guys to keep in mind is do you like, I'm sorry, a few things that I want you to keep in mind as you're setting your new goals, because we're kind of at this point already where we're done with this. Now, what's next?
Yeah.
So I want you to start thinking, what's your goal now? What do you want to lose a little bit more weight? Do you want to build more muscle? Do you want to take a break from dieting and maintain the progress that you've done? Do you want to just let go and put your feet up and eat whatever the hell you want and gain 50 pounds? Whatever that is for you at the end, whatever success is for you is what matters most. Okay. So when you guys will start thinking about that, as you know, as we're closing this up, let's see what
the
else
last
did I
thing
have.
we want is for, you know, a lot of people we've
it's over
seen use the challenge as like their motivating factor and their end goal, but then
That
once
was my
the
fault.
challenge ends, that's it. It just all goes downhill from there. We've seen it, and we don't want that to happen this go around. We don't want that to happen to you guys. So again, that's the last thing we want. So if you start thinking about your future goals now, it'll just be that much easier to transition from this challenge, whether you were on a meal plan, macros, whatever it is, to transition into the next step of whatever that looks like for you: building muscle, losing more fat, maintaining, etc.
And definitely like revisiting that why as well, whatever that why is for you, whether it's your health, looking good naked, looking good at the beach, recognition, whatever that is for you. Like remembering what that why is, and kind of keeping that in the whole time. Because if you don't, if you have a poor why and you do it kind of like the typical New Year's resolution does it, where they do it just because everybody's doing it, that's why most of the people end up stopping. They end up failing. They end up not going through with it and stopping because they don't have anything strong enough to kind of keep them going.
Yeah, and motivation isn't going to be there every single day. So if you have a strong why and you know exactly why you want to reach the point you want to reach or that goal that you want to reach, it's just going to make it that much easier to continue and to keep going when the challenge ends.
Yeah, for sure. So the goals, they have to stretch you for sure, but they can't be so far, like they can't be so far where it's unreachable. So that's why it's better to have like being realistic and definitely setting smaller wins throughout, like getting your 3 workouts a week, meal prepping, doing all those little small things end up
that are going to add up to a big long-term
100%. They end up adding up. Every single step just ends up building until you get into a better end result. So what else? Is that pretty much it? Yeah, I think that's it. All right.
Q&A.
That's it. That's all we're going to talk about with goals. Let's open it up to some Q&A. I know Subi brought in a question over here about wearing a waist cincher that helps your back. So what would we recommend? You can use a weightlifting belt. That'll be a little bit better for you. It's not as, I guess it doesn't compress you as much, doesn't compress that diaphragm as much.
Like just for your lower back. And it's like not like a waist trainer where it's kind of like thick like this.
Yeah.
A little bit thinner.
Yeah. So I would just invest in a waist trainer. But if your back is bothering you during training sessions, then it could just be something else. It could be maybe the way you're performing the exercise, and things like that. So those are other things to look for, Subi. What else?
I need to buy a weight belt. What's a good one that you would recommend?
So we're not okay. So with you, Chris, I'd probably just invest in maybe a leather belt, a leather weightlifting belt, and I could send you some options. There's other heavy duty ones like the ones that I've used for powerlifting, but I don't think you need something like that. You probably just need something a little less intense, kind of right in the middle. So yeah, I'll send you an option.
There's also some good ones on Amazon too. Mine's really good, and I got mine on Amazon.
Yeah, but that's what I saw. So I saw the one on Amazon, and I was like, because I always Google best, and like a lot of people buy that one.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You could totally get a weightlifting, like a powerlifting belt. You can 100%. They're just a lot stiffer, and I don't think it's necessary for you. I think you could get a good like a good Rogue Fitness just leather weightlifting belt, and you're good to go.
Okay, because I had a question. I wanted to go back to the weights. So I have that problem that you were talking about where you stay at almost the same weight. So then I started writing it down, which is good. So, and then I did the math real quick, what you were saying. So the warm-up set is technically like 50% of say what you're gonna go to that day, right? So I've been like
50%. You can even start at 70%. You can do like 70%, 90%. That's 2 sets right there of whatever weight you're gonna use.
Oh, so you have to do 2 sets of the warm-up set?
Ideally, I mean that's like in an optimal like session, right?
When it's 3 sets?
When it's 3 sets, you would at least do 1 or 2 warm-up sets.
Okay, because I do like, so I can tell you. So I have been fluctuating. So I did 245s plus the bar, so that's 135.
35.
That's the warm-up set, and then I add the 235s to there, so that gets me to like 205.
Are you talking about bench press?
Yeah, bench press. Let's just use that one. Bench press. So, but when I put on the optimum weight, like the 205, I can't hit the 8. So I'm struggling. So you're saying work, because I'm like, oh yeah, in 2 weeks you need to increase the weight, but you're saying no, just work until you can hit 10 out of the optimum and then go.
Yeah. So for example, if the program says, like the group training program, it just says do 3 sets of 10, then your goal is to get 3 sets of 10 with the maximum weight that you can. And then eventually, let's say you do it week 1, you do it week 2, okay, and then by week 3, man, it got easier. So now that's when you can increase the weight. Don't increase the weight first unless the reps said so, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And then
you would increase like what, 10? Like add two more 5s to that, or that depends on how.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Like if that was like your top end weight and you literally could not get another freaking rep out of it, then you might not be able to even add any weight yet. But if you can do like at least 2 reps, generally that's like an extra 2.5 pounds.
Okay.
You get 5 reps, that might be 5 or even 10, 15 extra pounds that you can add.
I've been going too crazy. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. But the good thing is, man, you're pushing. You're pushing.
I'm trying, but that writing down thing helps. But I find, and I guess, again, it's just getting more detail. I'm sure Shara knows because she's a weight trainer. I am not a weight trainer. But some days I can hit it, and then the next day or next week, you're like, you feel so weak, you can't hit it. And then it's like, is this the deload day, or this is the day you take it easy? And then.
Right. So what could happen is that you might have overstressed it the week before. And that's why the following week you weren't able to hit the same weight. So that's why it's important to just trying to get to that, like finding that sweet spot, finding that middle, and then you can continue like grind it through in that weight range for a little bit as it gets easier, because it will through weeks and reps of doing that same weight, then you make progress.
Okay.
Okay. Shara said, bench is the hardest lift to increase weight on, and sometimes it's just an off day. So that's for Shara. Some people, depending on the person, it could be other lifts. So it could be squat, it could be deadlifts, where that might just be your harder lift as well. So like for me, my squat and my deadlift are my strongest lifts. But same as Shara, my bench is not, like the numbers just don't move up as quickly and as easily. So it's going to be different there as well. So it's something to keep in mind. All right.
Any other questions?
Subi said, where do I get a waist belt? So weightlifting belt, you can get it. You can get, like we said, Amazon, or even there's like Rogue Fitness. That's also great. What other sites perform better? There's a ton of websites that you can buy weightlifting belts from. All right. What else we got, guys? Any other questions? Small group today. Any other questions?
Come on, Pilar.
Anything else? Anything else? Chris, Shara, Subi, what you got? Pilar, what you got? Anything? Nada? Okay. We're good. All right, guys. So we're quick one today. I hope you got some good stuff, and keep rocking. We got 2 more weeks.
Let's go.
All right, guys. Have a great Sunday. I'll see you all later on. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.